We're continuing our coverage of the deadly police-involved shooting in the small Berkshire County town of Hinsdale, an incident that left one person dead and sent 2 officers to the hospital. Tonight, a mental health expert weighing in. Thanks for joining us for Western Mass News at 6. I'm Chris Pisano.
And I'm Amanda Martin Ryan. Western Mass News reporter Matt Price has been on top of this story since last Wednesday. He's live in studio tonight with this part of the story. Matt.
Yeah, Amanda and Chris, it's just an awful situation altogether. Police confronting a young man who is experiencing a mental health crisis. Sadly, things taking a deadly and tragic turn. Tonight, one doctor says she is devastated by what took place, while also sharing what is out there to help those who are struggling.
It's heartbreaking. It's tragic.
Reactions continuing to pour in following Wednesday's deadly shooting on off South Street in Hinsdale, an incident that has shocked the community and mental health professionals like the Breen Center's medical director, Dr. Jennifer Michaels. Last Wednesday, Hinsdale police and other authorities confronted 27-year-old Biagio Kauvil. The Berkshire District Attorney's Office says Kauvil expressed what were called, quote, paranoid and delusional thoughts, sparking mental health concerns. They say he felt he was being monitored by both law enforcement and organized crime. Kauvil also yelling the words, kill me, during a struggle that resulted in 2 Hinsdale officers getting shot and injured, and him getting shot and killed. With more than 30 years of experience in the mental health field, Dr. Michaels shared her perspective with Western Mass News.
It sounds like this person was really suffering and having psychiatric symptoms and in extreme distress.
During Friday's press conference, Berkshire DA Timothy Shagrew emphasized the mental health side of this situation. According to officials, Kauvil's family worked hard to try to get him the help he needed. He says mental health should be part of the criminal justice system, and his county needs more resources.
I hope one thing that comes out of this, we can talk more about legislative work that needs to be done, and we can talk about resources that need to be given to mandate that we have mental health professionals working with the police officers and working with individuals that are on the street that haven't been able to get the services that they need.
Dr. Michaels agrees.
I think it would only help to have a mental health clinician riding with the police, with a first responder. We need more staff. We need the next generation going into mental health treatment, going into substance use disorder treatment. It's incredibly rewarding. It's helping the community.
In the meantime, there are resources available. Berkshire Medical Center does offer mental health services. The Breen Center is the largest community mental health agency in Berkshire County and has served the public for more than a century. They have a crisis team available 24/7, a community behavioral health center open Monday to Friday, outreach programs, and residential programs. Dr. Michaels' message to those who are struggling or know anyone who is, pick up the phone.
We want to talk to you. We want to provide help. And don't do it alone. It's so much harder when you keep it in and you feel like you don't have options. You do have options in Berkshire County.
Dr. Michaels also sends her well wishes to Mr. Kauvil's family, the affected officers, and their families. The Breen Center does have a 24-hour crisis hotline. It's the number on your screen right now, 1-800-252-0227. You can find this and other services on westernmassnews.com or our app. And of course, there's the suicide and crisis hotline. All you have to do is call 988. There are people who want to help to make sure you or someone you know doesn't harm themselves or others. Reporting live in the studio, Matt Price, Western Mass News.